In the Puget Sound region are reporting an alarming spike in pregnant women being hospitalized for COVID-19.
Health leaders say the vast majority of these women are unvaccinated. KOMO's Abiakoni has more.
Scarlett Toe is grateful to be alive after contracting coronavirus when she was 24 weeks pregnant in early April. By that point, she hadn't gotten vaccinated. Toe was hospitalized for COVID-19 for nearly 2 months.
My baby and I were dying.
Doctors had to deliver her baby at 26 weeks to put Toe on a ventilator.
So I couldn't see the baby. I was alone in the ICU. I couldn't talk, couldn't speak with the ventilator on.
When Toe came off of the ventilator, she could barely stand and struggled to hold her baby boy, who's in the NICU for a total of 94 days.
And I barely can hold the baby. Baby were only 2 pounds. It's really small.
Toe and her baby are still recovering, but their story is becoming all too common around Western Washington and the entire country.
The number of sick pregnant women we're seeing has just skyrocketed.
I talked to Dr. Tanya Sorensen, the Executive Medical Director for Women and Infant Services at Swedish. She says watching her patients fight to survive and even die is horrifying. She says more pregnant women need to get vaccinated.
We know that vaccination in pregnancy is safe and recommended and offered.
And just in the last few weeks, we are seeing some very tragic outcomes for pregnant women.
Dr. Christina Adams-Waldorf is an OBGYN professor at UW. She expects hospitalizations to get worse before it gets better, stressing that pregnant women should feel confident that the COVID-19 vaccines are safe.
All of our data looks very strong that vaccination is the very best thing that you can do to protect your own health and your baby's health.
I'm Abiakoni, KOMO News.
Some people like the heightened safety aspects, Preston. Others, though, they think it's stupid to wear a mask outside. The people putting on the fair, they say they're just trying to take the necessary precautions, but are ready if any confrontations arise. After a pandemic pause, the carnival rides, indulgent foods, livestock expos, and more are all back at the Washington State Fair in Puyallup. But this year, people will also have to wear a mask anywhere they go on the fairgrounds.
It doesn't bother me to wear them anymore.
I'm still going to go, but I'm going to wear a mask.
A state mandate is already in place to wear masks in all public indoor areas, but an order from the Pierce County Director of Health now requires masks to be worn outside at the fair as well.
I think it's stupid sometimes because everybody knows the chances they're taking without getting vaccinated.
I think it's going to hurt their attendance.
The health order comes as new COVID-19 cases continue their surge and come on the heels of state health officials discouraging people from attending crowded events like the state fair.
If they find someone who doesn't have their mask on, they will ask them to please put a mask on.
Private security teams will patrol the grounds to enforce the new mask rule. The fair says the plan is to be firm but non-confrontational, and they are prepared to kick repeat offenders out. People expect there will be pushback.
Some people always want to resist what the norm is.
I think there will be people that don't want to wear them. They'll come in with them on and then they'll take them off.
Show a steep rise in hate crimes across the U.S. and right here in our state.
KOMO's Cole Miller is digging into the numbers and why what's been reported may be just a fraction of what's really happening.
A family's trip to pick up some bubble tea earlier this year ended with an unexpected outburst.
Once he made eye contact with me, he stopped, jumped out of his car, and was like, F you, you Asian B, F you.
This man now charged with a hate crime confronting Pamela Cole and her kids out of nowhere.
When he gets to the middle of the street, he's like pounding his fist like this, and he's like, get out, get out, get out.
Last year, the FBI reports more than 7,700 hate crimes across the country, 451 of them here in Washington state.
Every one of these is a story, right? It's a particular crime.
Randy Blazak is the chair for the Coalition Against Hate Crimes. He also studies extremism in the Pacific Northwest.
One of the things about the federal data is it's always a huge undercount. So much hate crime goes unreported.
Be it a distrust in law enforcement or language barriers, many agree the numbers are far higher. In King County alone, 2020 saw the most hate crime charges in any year, 60 in all. So far this year, the total sits at 30.
I think more people are realizing what is a hate crime and knowing that they shouldn't have to put up with that.
While anti-Asian crimes skyrocketed since the start of the pandemic, the FBI reports African Americans were the target of most attacks in our region. Just last week, the King County Prosecuting Attorney's Office says a man walked into a day shelter on 4th Avenue in Seattle and refused to put on a mask, telling workers, quote, "I'm going to kill all of you," then turning his attention on a black man, hurling racial slurs, telling him, quote, "You might see yourself in a box." In Seattle, Cole Miller, KOMO News.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for checking out our YouTube page. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell from the KOMO Weather Team. You can see more of our videos right here by clicking on the video links for additional news from the Seattle area and Western Washington. Oh, and don't forget to click the subscribe button below so you don't ever miss our YouTube updates.